Good morning. I'm Sue Livingston, one of today's celebrants. Welcome to Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. All who come in the spirit of goodwill are welcome. Thank you for gathering with us today on Zoom and here in this sanctuary. Sanctuary is not oblivious or in denial of the fascist events that we are witnessing every day. We're deeply grateful for the sustained presence of the religious leaders in Minneapolis and across the country, keeping the focus on the life that was taken. And the danger and policies of fear and violence present for all of us. Indivisible Bellingham will be holding an all-hands meeting here in this sanctuary this Tuesday, January 13th at 7 p.m. It's free and open to the public. And if you can, please bring a friend or two. And sanctuary is space to shape things of worth and meaning and hold the shape in our heart. What brings us together unites us and makes us stronger, joined by a quest for truth. That's what today's service is all about. Turning to one another and sharing meaning. And we value your presence here. There are several wonderful announcements in your order of service, so please take it with you to read and make happen later. Now please settle in, take a centering breath. For what our pianist, Ian Pillow, has to share with us in words and music.
I'm a little unfamiliar being up here and not over there, but we can make it work. Tom asked me to share a little bit about the song that I chose for the prelude this morning, as part of the meaning that it has for me. And really all the songs that I chose for this service have a lot of meaning for me in terms of connecting with others, but especially Serenade by Sigmund Romberg. It's from the musical The Student Prince, which was very famous, I think came out in the 1950s. And you may be wondering why a 20-year-old man is playing something from the 1950s. And that's because of the connection this song has for me with my maternal grandfather. Without making a long story too long, for most of my life I had rather limited connection with my grandfather, except for in 2020 when unexpectedly my family went to Idaho Falls in the middle of the pandemic and we had to retrieve him to sort of rescue him from a vulnerable situation. We brought him back home, and this was a time where he was 88 years old at the time and struggling with memory loss. And so it was difficult, for a 15-year-old boy to connect with his grandfather who is 88 and struggling with memory loss. But when we came home, I played the piano, started practicing, and he just lit up and he said, "Oh, do you know the Student Prince?" And so I ordered the music for the Student Prince. And ever since then, this song, this Serenade by Sigmund Romberg, was the first song that I learned from that book. And it became a sort of a symbol of our relationship. Even as he moved out of our house into Brookdale Senior Living, I continued to show up and play for the residents at times. And even as he struggled with memory loss towards the end of his life, he would remember me as that grandson I have that plays the piano. So I hope you enjoy.
Hi, everybody. My name's Tom Nicholas. My pronouns are he and him, and I'm another one of the celebrants. There's several of us working on this service today. This service is about connecting with other people by turning to them. And so Sue and I thought it might be appropriate to do the opening words together. And this opening statement is adapted from a statement by Margaret Wheatley that's in her book, Turning to Each Other, where we took the title for the service from. For as long as we've been around as humans, as wandering bands of nomads or cave dwellers, we have sat together and shared experiences. We've painted images on rock walls, recounted dreams and visions, told stories of the day, and generally felt comforted to be in the world together. When the world became fearsome, we came together. When the world called us to explore its edges, we journeyed together. Whatever we did it together.
But today, there are forces at work in the world that make us feel separated from each other.
Sometimes it seems like the entire world is hypnotized in the wrong direction. It's so easy to turn away from others and to feel cut off from them, especially those we disagree with.
And it's so easy to move at a frantic pace, cut off from the meaning that we can find when we slow down.
When we slow down.
When we turn to each other.
When we turn to each other, what will we find?
And that is the question that wove today's service.
So today, you'll be hearing from a variety of people from the BUF community talking about ways that they have found to bring meaning and connection into their lives.
Thanks, Sue. Good morning. I'm Carrie Kenline. I'm actually another member of the celebrant team. And I'm going to be introducing our chalice lighting this morning with a poem that I wrote as part of my daily practice of writing a poem. I was inspired into this practice by the poet Rosemary Watola Trommer. And as she says, it doesn't have to be a good poem, it just has to be a true poem. So that's what I've been practicing for the last 453 days, aiming to focus in on something that I'm experiencing and express it accurately, and then shape it into something poem-like. I find it helps me to listen to myself in a different way, and it's kind of a practice in self-connection. But the reason I'm choosing to share about this practice with you today in this service is that it's also a practice in connection with others, intimate connection, because every evening I send my poem to two friends, and they send their poems to me. And what we've noticed is that this gesture of first connecting with ourselves and then connecting with each other has a profound effect, and over time it has shifted our perspectives and been life-changing. It's really enriched our lives and helped us to feel deeply witnessed. The poem that I want to share is one that I wrote a couple weeks after the last presidential election, but I would say it still feels relevant. It's called My Creaturely Self. As I grieve and try to metabolize all that seems unbearable, I want to abandon the mechanistic metaphors. I don't want to think of myself in terms of hard drives, apps, or restart buttons, and let's not talk about how I am wired. I want to welcome my creaturely self, furry and feathered, burrowing, grounding, molting, shedding, and hopefully eventually hatching and unfurling. Tomorrow I will walk to Cornwall Park to tuck my sorrows into the holes of trees. Tonight I will send this poem to 2 friends. I admit that I am typing it on a computer and I will send it by email. But once it has traveled through cyberspace, it is our soft, open-hearted, creaturely selves that will be finding each other. As we light our chalice this morning, we dedicate it to all the practices that help us to turn to each other. And now, please join me in saying our covenant. Love is the spirit of this fellowship, and service gives it life. Celebrating our diversity and joined by a quest for truth, we work for peace and honor all creation. This is our covenant.
And now we're going to sing one of the Buff favorites from the hymnal. It's number 311. It's called Let It Be a Dance. And we're going to stand and sing this together. What we'd like you to do is to take the title of the service literally, to literally turn to each other and literally let it be a dance. So get out into the aisle and boogie down.
Good morning, Buff. I don't know if you can hear me. Good morning. I know that was really fun, but oh, that was perfect. Beautiful. I'm Liz Epperson, she, her, and I have a story for all of you, and I invite any of the children and youth who'd like to come and get a closer look to come on up to the rug. A lot of you are already here. Before I start, I just wanted to say that this month in RE, our theme is practicing resistance. And today in particular, so this is a cheat for the kids when it comes to the Wonder Box. You guys better be paying attention. We're going to talk about resisting screens and tablets. And this story is about a girl who finds something really cool to do that doesn't involve screens and tablets. Now, screens and tablets are great. They are a tool. We already heard how they can help us connect. But if we do them too much, then we don't really have a lot of room for the people that live in our homes or in our community. So this little girl finds something really cool, cooler than a tablet, that helps her connect with her community. And then later, she has to resist something. And it's not a screen or a tablet. See if you can figure out what it is, okay? Okay. This book is called Extra Yarn by Mac Barnett. On a cold afternoon in a cold little town, where everywhere you looked was either the white of snow or the black of soot from chimneys, Annabelle found a box filled with yarn of every color. So she went home and knit herself a sweater. And when Annabelle was done, she had some extra yarn. So she knit a sweater for Mars too. But there was still extra yarn. And when Annabelle and Mars went for a walk, Nate pointed and laughed and said, "You two look ridiculous." "You're just jealous," said Annabelle. "No, I'm not," said Nate. But it turned out he was. And even after she'd made a sweater for Nate and his dog, and for herself and for Mars, she still had... You got it. I used to do that with my kids. At school, Annabelle's classmates could not stop talking about her sweater. "Quiet," shouted Mr. Norman. "Quiet, everyone. Annabelle, that sweater of yours is a terrible distraction. I cannot teach everyone turning around to look at you." "Then I'll knit one for everyone," Annabelle said, "so they don't have to turn around." "Impossible," said Mr. Norman. "You can't." You got it, Tristan. It turned out she could, and she did. Even for Mr. Norman. He looks cute in that, I agree. And when she was done, Annabelle still had... So she knit sweaters for her mom and dad, and for Mr. Pendleton and Mrs. Pendleton, and for Dr. Palmer, and for little Lewis. I don't know. I think little Lewis wants to be called little Lewis. Do you think they call him that to his face? I mean, I hope so. But I don't know. She made sweaters for everyone, except Mr. Crabtree, who never wore sweaters or even long pants, and who would stand in his shorts with the snow up to his knees. "No sweater for me, thanks," said Mr. Crabtree. So she made Mr. Crabtree a hat. And even then, Annabelle still had extra yarn. Anyone know someone like Mr. Crabtree? I know someone who walks around barefoot in the winter. I think it's kind of cool, but I like to keep my feet warm. She made sweaters for all the dogs and all the cats and for other animals too. Soon, people thought, soon Annabelle will run out of yarn. But it turned out she didn't. So Annabelle made sweaters for things that didn't even wear sweaters. Things began to change in that little town. News spread of this remarkable girl who never ran out of yarn, and people came to visit from around the world to see all the sweaters and to shake Annabelle's hand. One day, an archduke who was very fond of clothes sailed across the sea and demanded to see Annabelle. "Little girl," said the archduke, "I would like to buy that miraculous box of yarn, and I am willing to offer you $1 million. "No, thank you," said Annabelle, who was knitting a sweater for a pickup truck. The archduke's mustache twitched. $2 million, he said. Annabelle shook her head. "No, thanks." $10 million, shouted the archduke. "Take it or leave it." "Leave it," said Annabelle. "I won't sell the yarn." And she didn't. So that night, the archduke hired 3 robbers to break into Annabelle's house. And they stole the box and took it to the archduke, who set off across the snow and sailed over the sea. That's really mean. And he didn't even steal it himself. He had the other people do it. Annabelle said no, and he didn't listen. I think he's a bully too. Who thinks he's a bully? Sounds like a real bully.
I thought he was a pirate.
You thought he was a pirate. He kind of looks like one. So he went back to his castle. The archduke put on his favorite song and sat in his best chair, and then he took out the box and he lifted the lid and he looked inside. His mustache quivered, it shivered, it trembled. The archduke hurled the box out the window and shouted, "Little girl, I curse you with my family's curse. You will never be happy again." It's really, gosh, this guy's really mean.
Yeah, and we should be thankful for what he has, not wanting more.
He should be thankful for what he has. Thank you. I agree. It's a good reminder. But, you guys see that box? Just remember, he just said, because I forget sometimes, that he just said that she would never be happy again, but it turned out she was. The end. Thank you. Yeah, it's time to sing our kids up to their classes.
Thank you. Howdy, everyone. My name is Cynthia Bauman. It has been my great pleasure to facilitate the BUF group known as Flowering Cherry Sangha for almost 4 years. I've been asked to convey, in under 5 minutes, how we turn to each other to create shared meaning. We've been around for about 16 years, originally under the guidance of BUFster Ken Lane. Ken Lane, anyone remember him? He organized the group under Thich Nhat Hanh's Plum Village tradition. Sorry, I'm used to moving around, so I'll try to stand still. As our Sangha evolved from that spiritual foundation, we never stopped meeting, even when COVID ended our sanctuary time together. We still met outdoors to walk together, sometimes 6 feet apart, so literally turning to each other to make and share meaning amid the pandemic. These days, we gather together every Thursday at 12:30 p.m. in the BUF sanctuary in comfy chairs, not floor cushions, although you are welcome to bring one. We open our meditation circle by inviting the bell. Listen. Listen to the sound that brings us to our true home. Slide 2. Jeff, slide 2. Oh, there we go. Together out loud, and I invite you to join me in reciting our opening intention together out loud. As we connect in thought and love, may we be well in body, mind, and heart. May we be filled with loving kindness for all. After meditation, our mindful conversation centers around a Buddhist book study that usually takes us several months to get through as we savor each short reading. We are peer-led. We do not have a designated leader or teacher. We teach each other by trial and error in our humanity, authentically showing up for ourselves and for each other. We bring our cravings and aversions. We endeavor not to take ourselves too seriously. In this way, our Sangha provides a safe and low-key way for folks to connect. It is a refuge. You may think it odd to sit quietly in a room with 10 other people without speaking for half an hour, but I tell you, as an introvert, it is the perfect social setting. Paradoxically, I am alone with myself and connected with others as we subtly entrain via shared presence, breath, and intentions. Throughout the week, I can still feel connected to Sangha. It's like it's there in the background, supporting and sustaining me, especially on those days when I feel resistant to practice. In typical UU fashion, some of us are practicing Buddhists in various traditions, while some of us have mindfulness practices not tied to Buddhism at all. We truly are the UU of meditation groups. It's that diverse sharing of various traditions that informs my own practice. I feel an unspoken invitation to explore and expand my practice vis-a-vis others' perspectives. Maintaining a practice during good times builds the foundation that holds me when challenges arise, especially this week. Whew, I said I wasn't going to tear up. Flowering Cherry Sangha holds a sacredly human synergy that sustains me even when I don't feel like showing up. The whole is greater than the sum of its parts. That's part of the mystery. I'd like to close my sharing with our Sangha's closing intention of merit. Jeff, slide 3. Thank you. And join me, please. May the merits of this practice benefit all beings and bring peace. Thank you. Thank you.
We're going to sing Meditation on Breathing now. It's hymn number 1009 in the teal hymnal, but I think the words are going to be on the screen. And I'm going to invite my helpers up. This is a song that has 3 parts to it that layer over each other. There's a low part, and we'll start with that. Then we're going to layer in a melody, and then we're going to layer in a descant. So, and let's see, Tom and Jocko will keep that low part going, and Barbara and Rebecca will keep the melody going, and then Beth and Natasha will bring in the descant. So you get to do whatever you want. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. 4 more of those. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I'll breathe out love. When I breathe in, I'll breathe in peace. When I breathe out, I breathe out love. Breathe in, breathe out, breathe in, breathe out.
Good morning. I'm Beth Fuller. My preferred pronouns are she, her, and my preferred pastime is singing. I can't remember a time when music and singing were not driving forces in my life. My exposure to musical genres was varied, surrounding me even in utero. My mom loved classical music, opera, orchestral music, choral music. When my 3 siblings and I were young, She played records of narrated children's stories set to classical music. The Peer Gynt Suite by Edvard Grieg. Grimm's Hansel and Gretel, made into a fairy tale opera by German composer Engelbert Humperdinck. I'm sure I loved that name when I was a little kid, too. And Danny Kaye, singing Hans Christian Andersen songs, stories. My dad liked classical country. Think Frankie Lane and Hee Haw. My eldest brother was a folkie, Kingston Trio, the Weavers. For my next oldest brother, it was pop on the radio. Radio was on a lot. And later, he introduced me to rock and roll. Then, when I was in 3rd grade, the Beatles showed up on Ed Sullivan. Kaboom. My mind blown, my heart and soul forever captured. Still, I have plenty of room in my brain for advertisement jingles, TV show themes, the musical minutiae of our early lives, right? In grammar school, my music teacher made me feel seen and special. I was a big fish in a little pond. Thank you, Mrs. Ferguson. All the years of junior high choirs and high school choirs, the ponds got a lot bigger. I wasn't so special, but I still loved it. But for me, singing with friends and in smaller groups is where the real joy of making music happens. Looking into each other's eyes as we make harmony, or blending on one pure note to where one voice is indistinguishable from the other. The thrill of sharing intimate moments while creating beautiful sounds. When that happens, there's a deeper connection with the person. Singing affords many ways to experience moments of awe that Reverend Sonny Joy has mentioned in the last recent sermons. For a couple of years, I was part of a group of singing friends, many who didn't even live in Bellingham, and we would gather during the year for entire weekends of making music together. We affectionately named our group the Cry Babies because we routinely would bring each other to tears in those moments of awe. Well, fast forward to a few weeks ago. I was sitting right over there, and I was next to Marin and Bob, and Ian was playing some familiar song before the service, and Marin and I were singing along quietly, and we're grinning at each other. And afterwards, Marin said, "Oh, it's so nice to sing those old songs. I just never get an opportunity to do it anymore in the daytime." Well, that seemed to me a fairly simple thing to get started. So here is my proposal. Once a month, we could have a sing-along here at BUF. All adults are welcome. Child-friendly song circles are a whole other ballgame, and that could happen down the road if there are people interested in making that happen. We will just sing, no instruments. Let's keep it simple. The first one, I've reserved the social hall on January 20th at 1:30 in the afternoon for approximately 1.5 hours or until we get done. Rise Up Singing, it's a songbook that's very helpful to bring just to have ideas. And there's a large print one available, and a second version has been released in the last decade. I'm also borrowing some songbooks that Don Sayegh has put together. They range all over the place. So between these two books, it won't be hard for everyone to find something they'd like to hear. I picked this day and this time just to get us going because it works for me. Nothing is set in stone except that it be daylight hours. So let's try a sing-along song now. One of my favorites from Sesame Street, when my little sister was still watching that. And Tom and Carrie will help us out too. And Ian is going to give us a C. Sing, sing a song, sing out loud, sing out strong, sing of good things, not bad, sing of happy, not sad, sing, sing a song, make it simple to last your whole life long. Don't worry that it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing, sing a song. La 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 Sing a song, sing out loud, sing out strong, sing of good things, not bad, sing of happy, not sad, sing a song, make it simple to last your whole life long. Don't worry that it's not good enough for anyone else to hear. Just sing, sing a song.
I think this was the hardest job for the service, is keeping the microphone in position. Hi, I'm Sharon McCarty, and I am married to the fellow over there named Joseph. He can wave his arms. Hello there. Yes. And I have to do the glasses thing. I need to see you, but I need to see these words. We came to Buff just over 5 years ago when we moved to Bellingham. We were climate refugees from Northern California. Some of you have heard that story in detail. Suffice it to say that 4 catastrophic fires in 4 years in our county, including one that came within 3 miles of our home, well, it was terrifying. And that prompted a big move for us. We left a web of connections, 40 years worth, of people who'd been friends, co-workers, fellow quilters, bicyclists, church members, through so many chapters of our lives, ups, downs, joys, heartbreak. These friends knew our stories, and we knew theirs. Those were deep relationships and not easy to give up. While it was a good decision for us, starting over about 8 months into the pandemic was lonely. It had a starkness and a poverty that neither of us had experienced in a long time. It's hard to make friends over Zoom, much less find a hairdresser and a veterinarian. A couple of years into our new life, Joseph got a diagnosis that changed the trajectory of our lives. He has a type of aphasia, a degenerative disease impacting communication skills and more. Some of you might remember him speaking about it from this pulpit a while back. It upended our lives for sure. Perhaps your life has such a pivotal event too. Being asked to reflect on the topic of today's service has kept me up several late nights, scribbling notes and asking myself plenty of questions. So thank you for the opportunity to ramble through my life experiences and ask those questions. What I've learned through this experience of uprooting and rerouting is that I hunger for relationships where we can share the realities of our lives. Given my age, and don't let the fact that my hair is not gray fool you, there is an urgency to this longing. I'm pretty sure I don't have 40 more years to develop those long-term relationships, but I do have now. I am eager to know people who are willing to share their reality, be it with laughter or tears, and are willing to take in my reality, not as a problem to be fixed, but as a life to be seen and honored, and to care enough to reach out and call, and will welcome me doing the same. I've learned over the years and through many friendships that it is when we are vulnerable, when we tell the truth about our lives, that we connect at a level that chit-chat will never touch. We came to BUF because we had a positive experience with the UU congregation in Santa Rosa, California. It has taken a while to cultivate the kind of relationships we have sought, but we are getting there. I am deeply grateful to those here who have opened a space in their lives for us, and you know who you are. A final thought. I've long ago promised myself that I would not become a lonely old woman. Well, I can't seem to stop the one part, but I'll be deeply disappointed if I wind up lonely. And I suspect that telling you this today just might help.
Hi, I'm Sunny. I'm the minister here at Bellingham Unitarian Fellowship. My pronouns are she and her, and I am loving this service today. Every month, we take a special collection for a local organization carefully selected by our Social and Environmental Justice Committee. These organizations are doing good work in our community, and we are so happy to be able to support them in doing that work. It felt especially fitting that today's special collection will go to Coulson Community Land Trust, which holds land in trust in order to build permanently affordable housing for our neighbors of moderate means. Today's Sunday service is all about the ways that we connect with one another and how that brings meaning into our lives. There are few places of greater connection than a home, where a family and friends can gather, a place that is safe and warm, and a home base for creating meaning and memories. I now invite up to the mic the Executive Director for Coulson Community Land Trust, Rose Lathrop. Kit Topaz, who's listed in the order of service, came down with the flu last night, so we are lucky to have the Executive Director here today to tell us all about their important work.
Thank you. It is quite an honor to be here. It's unfortunate that it's because she has the flu, but I'm grateful that I get to be here. So again, my name is Rose. I've been with Colshan Community Land Trust for about a year and a half, but have been in service of this community for about 20 years. And it is my privilege to be of service with Colshan Community Land Trust because the mission that we have is deeply personal to me. I know firsthand what it's like to be a young, single, poor mother, and I had housing stability, and that was through great fortune that I was able to save enough money when I was very young and purchase this home because 20 years ago that was a possibility. And today that is not a possibility for so many of our community members. And I can talk a lot about how we do the work at Colshan Community Land Trust, but I think what is more important is what happens when people have stability. So being a homeowner has a lot of value to it. People often think of homeownership and it's the equity that you build, that financial stability. And that is true. Our homeowners do gain equity at a limited amount, and that's important. But I think what's more important is the stability and the rootedness that we're giving these families. Retirees, young children, all get to have that feeling of stability. Yesterday, I was having, or Friday morning, I was having coffee with one of our homeowners. She's 73, and she told me that she comes from a long line of insecurity, both economic and housing insecurity, and that has been held with her whole life. 3 years ago, she was able to get into a Colshan Community Land Trust home, and for the first time, she said that she's starting to release that feeling of instability that's inside of her. We're able to provide this opportunity where children know that they can paint their bedroom orange. Even if that's not what we all would like, that our families can plant sunflowers and that they'll come back the next year and that they'll be there to pick the apples off the trees that they planted. And this is more than just being able to, you know that you can paint your house orange. It's that feeling that you have, that you get to, that bedroom is your bedroom. And I know that my daughter, as we, in the years that we grew up in Bellingham, the idea that we would move would send her into tears. And that was when I thought, I wasn't making enough money here, or my family needed me somewhere else. And that home was her foundation and the roots for her. And still to this day, she would kill me if I thought about moving from her house. And she's 25. We have a family that recently moved into a home that we're building. It was this young woman. She was fleeing a domestic violence situation, and she was able to find Colshan Community Land Trust. We partner with Habitat for Humanity, and we're building homes on Telegraph. This means that she had to put in 50 hours of her own time while also raising 3 young children, and found herself in community. And I think today's theme of meaning and community and connection is what Colshan really is offering for our community. And she built relationships with the other home buyers that were also putting in their hours. And now she has a built-in babysitter right next door. She has stability for her children. Her kids, the very first day we gave her keys, there was not a dry eye, I will tell you that. It's probably one of the most meaningful moments is being able to pass somebody that key. So when she was given those keys and watching those kids toddle up the stairs and get to see and pick out what bedroom was theirs was one of the most meaningful moments of my life. So thank you for inviting Colson Community Land Trust to be in front of you today. We are privileged and honored to be here. And if you want to know more about how we do the work that we do, I encourage you to check us out. This year, we're going to be selling 26 new homes. 18 of those are in Birchwood neighborhood. Those are all net zero energy, green building homes. They're going to be beautiful. There's an acre farm on site. We're 1 block from Birchwood Elementary. There's going to be a play area. It's going to be a beautiful project. We have 2 units that are accessible and ADA. So I encourage you not only to think about how you can support Colson Community Land Trust, but if there are people in your network and community that need a home, encourage them to sign up and get on our list. Homes will be for sale for under $250,000, somewhere between $200,000 and $250,000. That means your mortgage will be under $1,500. When people talk about this and people think, well, you're not getting the equity that you would in the open market. We're not comparing homes that you would buy on the open market to our homes. It's what is the instability that you get from renting when the costs are going to go up, when you don't know when you're going to have to move. And often, buying a home through Colson is less expensive than renting. So I just encourage you to really think about who in your life might benefit from a Colson Community Land Trust home and the communities that we're building there. So thank you all very much for having me here. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rose. And our ushers will now come forward to collect funds for the Land Trust. We're taking this special collection today, but please note you are welcome to designate donations to the Land Trust anytime this month of January, and we'll make sure the funds reach this wonderful organization. I also want to apologize. I jumped up too fast and completely in front of Marianne Welch. So Marianne will go after our offertory.
I never know when to get up here. I'm Marianne Welch. My pronouns are she, her. I am also the mom of Leo and Alice, 2 very spirited children I think you've seen around here. I also help with community night dinner. I do the buying of the food weekly with Jen, who is amazing, providing that. And I am part of that lovely midweek update team who is Claire and Heather and I, and then Doug helps and Annie's in there somewhere too. So, yay. So my talk is about family. The holidays can be hard for some. Being around family can trigger us it can also make us feel uncomfortable in the ways that we might shift back into old roles into our families that we no longer enjoy holding anymore. Add in a little sprinkle of clashing political views, differing religions, and sometimes it feels like a recipe for disaster or civil war. But this last Thanksgiving was my favorite yet, and yet it held all of those things I mentioned from above. And yet, how can this be, right? In these political times where things are so far apart, right? So here's the backstory. Growing up, my family was very tight-knit. There was 4 of us siblings. Everybody seemed to envy us within our community. They actually called us the Brady Bunch because we didn't have sibling conflict. We all enjoyed each other and we got along for the most part. Then we became adults. We went our separate ways. We became our authentic selves. My sister has been estranged from my family since 2006. I'm not going to get into the details because that would be like a whole other service. But I think they were both religious differences as well as different values and misunderstandings of her husband's. Somewhere in our estrangement, we learned through a past friend that she also had 2 kids. So that pretty much hurt to know she had children and didn't even want to share it with our family. My dad passed away during the first week of COVID-19 when it hit the U.S. I flew to Michigan for his funeral despite being very newly pregnant and afraid what might happen to me or the baby. I was able to get a hold of my sister. We would only email back and forth, so it was kind of like a wing and a prayer that I had just emailed her the day before. And mind you, like when I say email, like maybe once a year we would email, and then it would take months for her to email back. So once he passed, I emailed immediately, like, can you please call me? Because we didn't even have her phone number. And she called within like 2 hours. And basically, I was able to get a hold of her and share about our father's passing, and her grief was just so heavy. So this began an opening in all our relationships with her again. I'm going to call it a soft opening. She couldn't come from Michigan, or to Michigan from Washington for my dad's funeral, but she did buy an iPhone, and she told her husband there would be a moratorium on not communicating with our family for as long as she needed it to heal. And it's now been 6 years, and we've been talking on that phone and texting pretty often. I was able to see her 2 times. She used to live in Raymond, Washington, previously Ellensburg. So I was able to see her 2 times just for like an hour here or there, or literally she would give us like her kids' hand-me-downs and they'd be like, bye, I gotta go back. So we just hug and leave. Usually we just get about 10, 15 stolen minutes on phone calls while she's doing her grocery shops. I haven't even been able to have a long conversation with her, even when I was diagnosed with stage 3 breast cancer and underwent like 2 years of treatment. So fast forward to the more present, 2025, I got a call from my mom the week before Thanksgiving, and she said that my sister was going to join the family Thanksgiving in the Midwest and drive from Vermont with both her kids. None of us have ever met her children. Kayla is 16, Zephyr is 13. I had crazy FOMO hearing this. Mind you, it was like, I don't know, a week, and then it was going to be Thanksgiving. Yeah, FOMO is fear of missing out, if you don't know that. And even though the tickets were very expensive, we bought 4 that week before Thanksgiving, and we made the trip out. It just seemed, like somebody else was saying, when you go through a big life event, things get very clear. So it just seemed like a trip of a lifetime I couldn't miss. So tickets were bought, and now came the mental preparation to be with my family. There would be 21 of us together in one house. We had all gone our separate ways religiously. We grew up in Christian Science. One brother married a Mormon and took on that faith. One married a Methodist and now attends a Christian conservative church. I'm UUA, and my mother is still a Christian Scientist, and I believe my sister is probably like agnostic. Also, politically, we couldn't be more different. There's a nice 50-50 split among the siblings of 2 Trumpers and 2 who aren't. And then I don't know, my mom will probably flex whatever muscle to keep the peace. We have 3 in our family that identify as they, them, and we have some neurospiciness. And this was really going to be interesting. I'm not going to lie, like immediately that night, I was having nightmares. My brother, who's Mormon, was having nightmares all about the gathering. And yet, it went off without a hitch. I'm still in a bit of a shock about what a great time we had together. Maybe it's because we were all holding each other with kid gloves, all trying to be on our best behavior. I wasn't by any means walking around on eggshells either. There were 13 cousins altogether, ranging in ages from 4 to 20 years old. And I guess I'll note that like Kayla and Zephyr, her children, didn't even know they had cousins until a week before they got together. And I think their expression when they found out was, "We have cousins!" So I found for myself that this time gathering, I just simply practiced mindfulness. Rather than trying to push my personal views and agenda, I was simply there to be and soak it up. I Legoed for 5 hours with a few of my nieces and nephews. I puzzled with the older kids. I made waffles for everyone. I grocery shopped for weird dietary restrictions, pitched in on the meals, tried to help offset costs, and just tried to stay in the background, while also just staying attuned to supporting my sister, integrating back into our 21-person family. Tears were shed, lots of hugs were given, cousins formed bonds so quickly and tightly that the shirts literally were given off their back. That's what my niece Kayla, I think my other niece said, "Nice shirt," and she said, "Oh, you want it?" and just gave it in the 5 minutes before leaving. Okay, Leo, this is not working for me. Can you go have a seat? So where did I leave off? Okay. And also they gave each other these bracelets in parting for remembrance. Cell phone numbers were shared like candy between these tweeners and nieces and nephews. We also attended my aunt's funeral all together during the visit, and ironically, this was like the very first time that all my siblings and cousins had ever met, was during my aunt's funeral. My heart's going to be full for a long time after that trip. I think that when we gather with open hearts, wanting to find a way to enjoy and love each other, that those differences that we hold that seem so important fall away. I could just look at all my siblings and know that we're all trying our best. We're trying to be our best selves and just have different versions of that. At our core, we have more in common than we have different. I also think seeing our kids connect and bond made us let go of our egos. We simply enjoyed each other's company just like we did when we were kids. And in the end, for once, we had the same value, which was family. Thank you.
As I've been thinking this morning about the service, the pronoun I choose for myself this morning is we. Jocko and I will be telling you a story, A Horse, by Ruth Cheney. Before we begin, we ask you to use your imagination, put it at work during the telling. Will you now close your eyes and use your imagination with your mind's eye to visualize an image of the animals that will be speaking in this story as I name them now. In your mind's eye, see a beautiful female horse with her mane flying in the wind. In your mind's eye, imagine a rabbit, a sheep, a turtle, a beaver, a mouse, a fox, a rat, and a small creature who speaks powerfully. This story I'm about to tell you is mostly true, though since it happened more than a week ago, it may have come into some changes. I shall tell you what I heard. Well, it happened that horse was leading fox, dog, rat, sheep, goat, and other gentle beasts from the old forest to the new. It had been a long winter, but the day was grand, and horse pranced along, her mane flying in the wind as if a flag bearer. At times, the shorter-legged creatures would climb aboard her back and rest when weary as the procession continued. Suddenly, they came to a rushing river. Across the river, there fell a log. The log was just long enough, narrow enough, and high enough to meet careful feet to cross safely. Horse was the first, and she stepped up. No sooner had she put all fours on the log than she was filled with dread. Suppose she slipped. Suppose she lost her balance and fell over. Suppose the log began to shake with her weight. Horse backed off the log. She turned to Goat and ordered,
"You are lighter. You go first."
Goat was nimble, a climber of steep cliffs. He was over the log in no time. Even Donkey did not pause. He swayed a bit, his hindquarters seeming to go on their crooked way apart from his forequarters. But soon he too was across. And then there was only Horse. She considered swimming the river. The current looked swift, the waters were icy. There was no telling where she would end up, or if she would end up. Now the others were waiting. Horse could not go forward. Horse could not go backward. Could she stop here and make this her new settlement? She knew there were better places ahead. Could she go back to the old place? There wasn't much food left. She could not, would not go on. While she stood there in uncertainty and fear, the other animals were meeting. Rabbit cried.
"Horse has left us."
Sheep said.
"Oh, Horse doesn't like us."
Turtle commented accusingly.
"Horse has found the best spot and wants to keep it for herself."
Beaver seriously said.
"Horse is scared stiff."
Horse scared? The other animals couldn't imagine that. What is she scared of? It couldn't be something they accomplished and would trouble the fast and short horse. Mouse murmured bitterly.
"Perhaps a monster lurks in the depths of the river and only Horse knows. She left us to almost die."
So for the next long time, all the animals stood still and watched Horse being scared. Finally, after a forever long time, Fox cried out,
"Horse, are you thinking?"
And Horse said,
"Yes."
Fox questioned,
"What, if I may ask, are you thinking about?"
Horse answered,
The log?
Fox said,
The log? What about the log, horse?
Horse sighed.
Why must a log be round on all sides, Fox?
Fox replied,
Round it is, horse.
Horse said,
I was thinking it would be better to make logs flat.
Then Rat piped up.
Horse, are you coming or staying?
Horse said in a soft voice not at all usual for her,
I would come if I could come, but I can't come.
And Beaver repeated.
She's scared stiff.
So the animal stood silent for a while more and watched Horse being scared on the far shore. Then the creature who had not yet spoken said,
Let's help Horse cross the log.
The other animals opened their eyes as wide as possible and grinned the incredulous grin. And then they all said,
We cannot pull horse. We cannot push horse.
And the small but knowing creature said wisely,
We can keep her company.
So, all the animals, big and small, sure and awkward on foot, returned across the log. They explained the plan to Horse. Then they all lined up. Donkey, seeing Horse tremble a bit, went over and said in a quiet tone, so only Horse could hear,
Just pay attention, Horse, to what's most important.
Horse asked,
What's that, Donkey?
Donkey replied,
To keep going.
And so it happened. There was a trail across the log, and Horse was in the middle, Fox holding her tail from behind, and Horse holding Goat's stub of a tail in front. Slow and slower and pause and slow they marched until each and every animal crossed the log safely. And that is, from what I've heard, how it came to be that the animals came to the new forest where they have been for a long time. Which goes to show that there is always some point, often among the most important journeys, where fear is great and the best care from others helps us make it. And perhaps we must also remember to pay attention to what's most important.
My closing words are 2 minutes, so we're almost there. Today's service has been about all the ways in which we turn to one another and how that turning creates meaning in our lives. I have been particularly reminded this week about the deep and meaningful ways that this Buff community turns toward one another. Yesterday, I led a memorial service for Buff member Jane DeBrock right here in this sanctuary, where so many from this community came out to celebrate and honor Jane's life. And earlier this week, I visited Linda Darks, who was receiving hospice care at St. Joseph's Hospital as she made her transition. As many of you know, Linda passed away peacefully on Tuesday night. She was surrounded by Buff members and friends 24 hours a day while she was in the hospital so that she would not die alone. Some of those folks had been visiting her weekly for years as she had been unable to get out and about anymore due to health challenges. Members of the Buff choir were there too, singing to her to support her in her transition. One of the songs I heard them sing while I was there was Let It Be a Dance, a favorite hymn of Linda's and a hymn we sang just a few minutes ago in this service, bringing us full circle in this dance of life that we are all doing here together. The chorus of the hymn says, "Let it be a dance we do. May I have this dance with you, through the good times and the bad times too. let it be a dance. I have found myself singing that chorus throughout this past week. This thing we are doing, this life we are living together, let's let it be a dance. There will be good times and bad times too, but if we turn to one another, if we find meaning in our togetherness, we can let it be a dance. And now, as Tom extinguishes our chalice, I affirm that we extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. Now our closing song, Circle Round for Freedom.